Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is the greatest time of the day. From the center of the universe, New York City, it's the main event you've been waiting for. It's time to go in the cage with Cyclone.
And guess who it is? It's me, finally! Episode 17! Wow, we've come that far. It's incredible. I can't believe it. It's a comfortable day. And guess what? It's the first day of Hanukkah! L'chaim! Although God gifted me with a big monstrous oomph in my butthole today. But I'm not going to get into that topic because I promised that I won't. And I'm a man of my word. We got just so much going on in MMA right now. You know, we're going to be talking about massive knockouts. We're going to be talking Joanna Jędrzejczyk. We're going to be talking about something that went down in Canada, our neighbors to the north. And there's going to be a debuting brand new liner I got. I want to remind everybody that you guys can hit me up on Facebook at In the Cage with Cyclone. Check me out on Twitter at CYCIE19. And also you have this blah 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 blah. You have CycloneComedy.com, and then also there's BoneheadPicks.com, and you can read everything I write. But I'm a little verklempt right now. I'm a little tired. I'm a little exhausted. I'm doing the show literally inside of a refrigerator right now. But we're going to start it all off in just 1 second.
I'm the World Series of Fighting undefeated lightweight champion Justin Gaethje.
MMA legend, UFC Hall of Famer, nice man. Check it out. And if you got the guts, step in the cage with Cyclone.
Alrighty. Now, I think we should start off with recapping Fight Night 123. You know, it was a monstrous card. You could hear the applause in the background from the other room because, like I said, I'm in a refrigerator this week. What can we say about Brian Ortega? But this kid is now 13-0. He is coming into his own. Training with Henry Gracie has done wonders for him. He locks in this crazy mid-air guillotine. And literally, Cub Swanson says afterwards, he felt like he was about to die. How crazy is that? Submitting someone like Cub was on a 4-fight winning streak. Cub is one of the upper echelon featherweights. He's a bulldog. And Brian T. City Ortega managed to handle him. I mean, look, let's call it what it was. Cub had his moments, but nothing compared to what Ortega had. And then it came out afterwards that Cub in the hotel had some guy come up to him and say, "Hey, take a picture with my daughter," and then shoved his daughter in Cub's arms. They take a photo. And the guy goes, "Oh, by the way, my daughter's sick." Really? If I was Cub, I might have put that guy into a guillotine choke. How nuts is that? That's nuts. That's something I don't even do it when I'm taking photos with. Aljamain Sterling and Marlon Moraes. Wow. Marlon going for a switch kick as Aljamain is coming in for a double leg. Changes last second to a knee right to the mush. Just a drop. Aljamain's body goes limper than my wee-wee, and he just goes down. And this is just one of many tremendous body-freezing knockouts we've seen over the last couple of weeks. And look, I've talked to 100 people about it in the business. They've always said CTE will never be as strong in MMA because it's not just body, it's not just headshots, it's body shots and everything. But with the size of the athletes today, and with the amount of knockouts and vicious knockouts, I'm telling you, you could put it in the books, write it down, take it to the bank, bet me if you want. We're going to start seeing a flurry of CTE in MMA. And let's see if this sport can survive it the way the NFL is trying to survive. It's also, by the way, happens to be the first time Aljamain was ever finished in a fight. It's starting to cement Marlon as one of the stronger bantamweights. The nerves from coming over from the World Series of Fighting are long gone now. So, yeah. And former Alabama Crimson Tide linebacker Eric "Ya Boy" Anders once again winning. This one coming as a unanimous decision. Then afterwards, challenging Lyoto Machida to fight him February 3rd in his hometown of Brazil. That takes cajones, massive cajones it takes. Luke Sanders getting dropped by TKO in the second round to the Asian sensation Andre Sukumta. And by the way, it's Andre's first UFC win. He had dropped his first 2 UFC fights. So it's good to see the guy win. Finally. And anyone who knows MMA knows that Andre, it was just it was just a matter of when it would all come together for him. But Cool Hand Luke. Oy vey, Luke. Luke, I am your father. And your father say, need a change in training, need something. Bellator had a card, Bellator 190, which was half of Bellator kickboxing, where Rafael Carvalho retained his middleweight title fight. A vicious, and I mean a vicious, we talk about Aljamain, and then Aljamain's body going limp, and then his arm coming over his face, so like he was dabbing. This one was a vicious knockout as well to the Italian Alessio Sakara in his hometown, getting dropped and getting crunched in in the way that he lost. And it sets up a Rafael fight with probably Gegard Mousasi. I mean, it's time that Gegard gets that title shot. And it's going to be very interesting to see if Gegard can win gold that he couldn't win in the UFC. But who knows? Brandon Gertz had a 3-fight losing streak stopped in the co-main, beating Luke Jocic. Like it was like 3 or 4 like vicious uppercuts that dropped him. We could talk about Invicta FC26 because you know there were some really good parts to that card, including Jennifer Maia retaining her flyweight championship against Aga Nidwitz. You know, that's a name that these long Russian names, you can't beat me up on it. It's just something that I just can't handle. Those names knock me out. But anyways, Jennifer, no relation to Damian Maia, proving that she has a crazy gas tank, outlasting Aga by unanimous decision. LFA 28 went down as well. Now, I want to bring up a topic as we move now to the main topics. It's not good to be a bully. Bullying is not good. But here's the thing. I'm sure most of you guys have heard by now that this middle school kid, Keaton Jones, just getting abused in school. And his mom made a video of him in the car, just asking why do there have to be bullies. And it was heartfelt. You actually, if you watch the video, you will get teary-eyed. Because I got teary-eyed, and I'm a hard, stubborn SOB. And athletes, celebrities, all were reaching out to this kid. You know, sending him messages to hang in there. Hell, even I sent him through Facebook and through Twitter messages to hang in there at hashtag Keaton Jones. And frankly, I don't know if I still want to keep plugging it because of what seems to have happened. Now, I know you cannot blame the crimes of the parent on the child, but Joe Schilling, yes, the friend of Nick and Nate Diaz and Jake Shields, that crazy Joe Schilling actually got a hold of Keaton's mom. And here's what happened. He said that he wanted to take him to a Bellator card in California. You know, just to show him how much love and to stand up to bullies. And it turns out that the mom actually asked Joe Schilling to donate to his GoFundMe page. And he asked her about it and said, you know, what's it all about? And this kid's mom actually told Joe Schilling, you know, the holidays are coming up and we got to get the kids gifts. So now the mom is taking all holy hell of a backlash, and deserving so. Listen, we're there for your kid. We're not your bankroll, okay? Because if that was the case, I need money. I should start a goddamn GoFundMe page. But I'm not, because I'm not a jerk. And then, look, I'm not going to argue for or against the Confederate flag, but there was photos of the mom with the Confederate flag. There were Facebook posts and Twitter posts from the mom that seemed a little bit, how shall we say, racist, that she has since now taken down. But you can't blame the kid, like I said, for the crimes of the parent. But at the same time, if we're trying to help your kid, let us help your kid. You don't need the help. You're the adult here. And I honestly think those bullies should stop picking on the mom. And at the same time, when we talk about bullies, you get someone like a Diego Sanchez taking a kid with Down syndrome, teaching him MMA, putting him in the cage with him, and letting him beat him. Now, we know, obviously, some little kid with Down syndrome is never going to, obviously, beat Diego Sanchez. But Diego played the role. He let it happen. He let himself get beat by a kid, giving the kid his dream. And, you know, if you go back to UFC 217, Thug Rose Namajunas, in her post-cage comments, said that we should all get along, that we should have bullying, that we should stand up against bullies. You know, Cody Garbrandt, when he beat Dominic Cruz, he brought in the kid that was being bullied as well. So there are fight, and the MMA community in whole. I'm not saying that other sports and other athletes and celebrities don't rally around kids that are bullied, but mixed martial arts fighters seem to really take to kids that are bullied, and they really do a bang up job standing up for these kids. You know, so yeah, that's my rant on bullying. And if you're a bully, why don't you come try to bully me? I'm 5'11", I'm 3 bills. You bring that bully act to me, and I'll tear you up. And speaking of tearing up, the Edmonton, Alberta, Canada City Council. Boy, oh boy, what they did. They have now issued a 1-year ban on all combat sports, going back to the investigation of the death of Tim Hague after a June boxing match against Adam Braywood. Obviously, Tim, you know, tragic death, was just knocked down a bunch of times in the fight against Adam. I think he was knocked down like 3 times in the first round, twice in the second round, including once when he was the second one, he was knocked out cold. You know, while he was still in MMA, he was KO'd in 4 of his last 5 fights. Now, the Combat Sports Commission is presently working with the Edmonton City Council. But it goes back to the whole thing of these vicious knockouts, and someone eventually is going to die from a knockout in the cage. And honestly, hell, I thought it was Alistair Overeem when Francis Ngannou uppercutted him. I mean, that head of Alistair snapped back like he was a Pez dispenser. That's the only way I could describe it. He was a human Pez dispenser. And going back even further, like 3-4 weeks before that, the Golden Ticket Fight promotion in England, Samuel Ilnicki's landed a right high kick to the face of Solomon Rogers, and Solomon Rogers' his body actually froze as it collapsed to the mat. And that was a scary knockout. Like you said, Alistair was a scary knockout with Ngannou. Aljamain was a scary knockout with Marlon. There's a crazy amount of knockouts that I think it's because these athletes are getting bigger, stronger, their bodies are more finely tuned, and the glove size. What are they using? 4 8-ounce gloves? They are really, really tiny. As a matter of fact, I was talking to Todd Anderson, and he was telling me about Brock Lesnar, because his hands are so big that the gloves, there's basically no wrap that Lesnar used when he was in the UFC. It was basically just his hand in the glove, because they have to be 4 ounces. So you could just imagine the strength of a beast like that landing a shot to your mush and the damage it does. That's what I'm telling you. CTE is going to start to become very prevalent in MMA. Mark my words, like I said before. And some shocking news with Joanna Jędrzejczyk. She announced that she is leaving Perfecting Athletes after a bad weight cut for UFC 217. Now look, I told everybody outside the hotel that she was going to lose, that Rose was going to beat her. I told her that. I told everybody that Joanna just didn't look right. And what happens? I was right. I was right once again. Joanna got smoked by Rose. As a matter of fact, she got smoked so bad, she still refuses she tapped, even though she tapped. Now look, here's the thing. Joanna went to Perfecting Athletes, and she basically became very, very tight with Paulina Andrade and Michelle Ingalls. Wherever you saw Joanna, wherever Joanna went, these two women were always with her. And because of the bad weight cut, and look, Joanna has to take some of the blame. She's the fighter, okay? She's the one putting food in her mouth. So if it's the weight cut, she needs to take some blame. And look, she wasn't long for 115 anyways. We all knew she was going to make the move to 125 eventually. Okay? Which, by the way, I called that too, and I'm being proven right, because she's taking some time off and she's coming back and she's going to flyweight, as well as Valentina. But I'll talk about that in a few minutes. It behooves her to take some of the blame herself. And she turns around and she says about these two people who she said they were lifelong friends now, that they were close forever. They were sisters. She comes out and she says that she can't work with people like them anymore because they are the ones who made mistakes. And the mistakes that they made were unforgivable. How can you say that, Joanna? How? You have to take some of the blame yourself. You really do. And like I said, she is going to go up to 125. And how about the UFC female flyweight division? How cool is that division going to be? I'm calling it right now. It is going to be the most exciting division in the UFC. I think it's going to be more exciting than the heavyweights, than the light heavyweights, than the lightweights, and the middleweights. The female flyweight division, because here's the deal. You have regular 125ers there. You have girls like Joanna and Valentina coming up from 115. And you have girls coming down from 135. You have the perfect mesh of women. And you gotta like the champion, Nico Montano, beating everyone's favorite, the Happy Warrior, Roxanne Moretti. Here's the thing. She's not only the first ever UFC female flyweight champion, but she's the first ever UFC Native American champion. And she is living with her boyfriend in a 500-foot square space. And this refrigerator that I'm in doing the show this week is about 500 square feet, and I barely fit in here. So you have to give it up for her. And this poor girl Nico has a target, and she knows it. You know, she knows everyone is gunning for her more than anyone ever has been gunning for anyone. Because, like I said, the regular 125ers, the 115ers, the 135ers are all gunning for her. And recently she said that no one coming either down or up deserves a title shot just yet, because they haven't fought at 125. She wants to give the first title shot to an actual 125er, and you've got to give her respect in that manner, because she knows what it's like to be a 125er, and she's only showing respect to her fellow flyweights. And that's a cool thing to see. Now, the UFC, Invicta just recently signed 15 fighters, and one of which is Pearl Gonzalez. And if you remember, Pearl had the issue up in Buffalo, New York, with the state commission in New York about breast implants. They signed Sarah Kaufman. They signed Helen Peralta. And it's good for them to be signed to Invicta, because it gives them the strong enough competition where they can sharpen their teeth and then possibly come back to the UFC at some point. Or, honestly, I think Pearl Gonzalez in Bellator would be perfect. I think Bellator would be the perfect spot. And Invicta basically is the feeding ground for the UFC, for Bellator. Not so much, like a one championship or a Ryzen or an LFA. But Invicta is like a feeding ground for other companies. So they're going to be going up against girls that really are solid and have nothing to hide, I do want to remind everyone that if you keep it right here on BWRN, Broadway Radio Networks on Spreaker, you guys can hear Kevin Goatee, Jeffrey Paul on the Sportsbook Box Office Podcast. You guys can also follow me on Twitter, CYCIE19. Hit me up on Facebook. Win some raffle prizes. All you gotta do is type in the cage with Cyclone and click like. That's all you have to do. It's that simple. Check out CycloneComedy.com. Read my articles on Bonehead Picks. I have a couple of articles I'm working on, a couple of stories. Hopefully they'll be posted later this week. We're going to be talking the upcoming schedule in a little while. I got some fun bits. And I have a debuting liner. But that'll be coming up much later after these words.
Hi, I'm Jim Miller. This is Dan Merliota. I'm Eric Rusty. I'm Nick the Carney Lanson. You're locked into the cage with Cyclone.
Alrighty. So, the upcoming schedule. The calendar, if you will. This Friday, December 15th, the day I'm seeing Star Wars. The day of Mike Francesa's last show, thank God Almighty, on WFAN. There is the LFA 29 card. LFA 29 from the Mystic Lake Casino Hotel in Minnesota. You got Chicos Camos and Ricky Simon for, I believe, their welterweight title. It's either their welterweight or middleweight championship. Former Bellator fighter who's on a 2-fight losing streak, looks to get back on the winning side of things. Mike Richmond takes on Jeff Peterson. And speaking of Bellator, Friday night, Bellator 191 happens from Newcastle in the UK. Bantamweight Peter Lichier against Michael McDonald. And no, not the 80s singer Michael McDonald. He's making his Bellator debut. Peter's on a 3-fight winning streak. And Peter is a very, very, very tough ground fighter. The women's flyweight is the co-main event for Bellator. The debuting Valerie Letourneau, not related to the watch company. Valerie is taking on Kate Jackson. And Bellator 190 teamed up with Bellator Kickboxing. This Bellator 191 is teaming up with Bama 33. So you'll see some of their company's fights as well on Friday. Also on Friday, from Mother Russia, Fight Nights Global 81. This is, let me tell you something. You guys need to go either stream or watch or do whatever Fight Nights Global. I really, really, really like that company. It's something about those Ruskies that just really, they do it to me, you know? They like make me fuzzy and warm inside. They make my nipples hard. The Russians in Fight Nights Global know how to fight. And a lot of them are really, really dangerous ground fighters as well. Moving along to Saturday, UFC on Fox 26. Yes, the first Fox card since the Long Island card in the summer. You got Robbie Lawler and RDA, which is going to be, oh my God, a barn burner. And I personally totally backing Robbie Lawler. As everyone who knows me knows how much I despise RDA. Ricardo Lamas, the Bully, is taking on Josh Emmett. Glover, Don't Call Me Mark Teixeira, is taking on the returning Misha Serkinov. And Nordine Talib is taking on Danny Roberts. And that's on the early prelims. And that is a fight you definitely want to watch. Danny has an incredible stand-up. And Nordine is vicious on the ground. So it's a good contrasting of styles of a fight. And then you have another Fight Nights Global card. 82 is on Saturday, after 81 is on Friday. That's how good the company is. They gotta have cards on back-to-back nights. And moving along, you have One Championship 67. Victory FC 59 goes down on the 16th also. And then, the day before Christmas, December 24th, is something is going down that I have asked to see in indie companies a lot of times. A collision of companies. And what I mean by that is on December 24th, in Osaka, Japan, Pancrase is taking on Deep. Fighters from one company, fighters from another company. That is what you call cool beans. Now, like I promised all of you, let me do a little bit of a drum roll. Okay, it wasn't that great of a drum roll, but it is what it is, to quote Max Holloway and my ex-girlfriend. Anyways, like I promised, here is podcast liner, brand spanking new, number 3. I hope you guys enjoy. How was that? And look, first of all, I got to thank, guys like Kevin Gastelum. I got to thank everybody that did all my liners for me. But especially, I have to thank Ken Shamrock. The man, the most dangerous man in the world, Ken Shamrock. I saw him in Queens not too long ago, and I asked him to do it. And he was like, absolutely no problem. Keep kicking ass with your show. Not that he listens. But, I did tell him that Liddell did one for me, and I was hoping he would do one. Anyways, so that's the genesis of podcast liner number 3. Hope you guys enjoyed it, like I said. Anyways, let's say we build a fighter, huh? Now, we had Gegard Mousasi's vision. We have Andre Harrison's hearing. Emily Ducote's nose. Smiling Sammy Alvey's smile. Now let's do a stare down. Now, despite me kind of picking on her, telling her, that she doesn't need to be blaming other people for her issues, one of the most scariest stare downs there is Joanna Jędrzejczyk. So now she is part of my Build-A-Fighter. It's Mousasi, Harrison, Ducote, Sam Alvey, and Double J, Joanna Jędrzejczyk. As we continue to build the true Ultimate Fighter. I'm going to go into my grab bag of numbers now and do a dream fight. We have number 2 and number 288. So, number 2. Okay, number 2. He's an actor. He is kind of up there in age. The Muscles from Brussels himself. Although he does have a 62-5 record fighting wise. Jean-Claude Van Damme is taking on number 288. Let's see who that is. Wow. A legend in the sport. Andre Chatuba Santos. Not even a question in my mind. And you know, in the world of acting, not most, but shots aren't really landed. You know, they're pulled back for film. But I think Jean-Claude Van Damme could actually take Andre. I mean, look, Andre had a 38-10 record. Pretty solid of a fighter. But the fact of the matter remains, I'm going to have to go with Jean-Claude. I really am. And I'd like to take this time now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, to place a spotlight on a fighter. And this week's spotlight is best friends in the world with Misha Tate, Cupcake, my future ex-wife, Miss Cindy Dandotis. And here's why I'm spotlighting her. She's had an up and down fighting career, yes. But her nickname is Battle Cat, and I love anyone who loves cats. She's great at judo, she's good at wrestling. And her favorite food is chocolate cheese fries. Now just imagine this, okay? Zero in on this, if you will. You have French fries. You melt cheese on them. They become cheese fries. And then you melt chocolate on them. Chocolate cheese fries. That just makes my nipples hard. Holy crap. She collects Disney statues. A girl after my own heart. I'm not saying I do that, but there are a couple of Disney character statues that I do have. She wears she had a bull terrier, okay? And when it passed away, she had it cremated, and she wears the bull terrier's ashes around her neck. And that just makes her more lovable. And check this out. When she was a kid growing up, her brother Ben, who also happens to fight, it was the 80s and makes me feel old. They would play wrestling, and he would be either Mr. Perfect or Rick Martel, and she was Jake Roberts or Coco Beware. Oh my God. She was Coco. I could imagine her doing the bird with the parrot up on the shoulder. She has 3 kids, which, you know, she's still smoking hot for a woman that has 3 kids. And she said she wants more. I give her the spotlight. She's a musician. She plays the flute and the sax. When she Okay, so here's your answer, Susan. And it's interesting that this is a question because Frank Trigg was just on with Ariel Helwani yesterday. And the fact of the matter is, Frank's already reffed over 500 fights. So he's been doing this a long time. Okay? And this is not something that he's taken lightly. And John McCarthy is helping him along. He had to go to school to do this. He had to get certified. He had to get licensed. He had to get bonded. If more fighters were refs, yeah, and that's one of the things that he said that why he wanted to do it, because he knows what it's like to be inside there. But he's taking it seriously, and that's the way you got to. If a fighter's going to take it seriously, then they can succeed. If they do it half-assed, they won't succeed. And honestly, if they half-ass it, they'll never get licensed. It is the hardest job to get is a referee or a judge. Okay? You can't just do it off the side of the sidewalk. You know, you need to be put through the ringer first. Okay? So can mistakes happen? Sure. Humans make mistakes. If they get a bad angle, if there's a bad sight line for a judge, you know, things happen. As they say, crap happens. But do I think, personally, there would be less mistakes? Maybe one or two less mistakes. And I don't even call what a ref does. If a ref makes a bad call isn't even a mistake. You know, a mistake is, hey, I thought you were down on your knees and you were really standing. That's a mistake. I separated you. Oops, my bad. Those are I guess, mistakes. But there really aren't mistakes especially by judges. Judges don't do anything. And despite all the hell that judges catch from sometimes seeing things differently, they see things the way they're going to see things. You know, you got to give it to them. But yeah, as I ramble on, killing time. But that's your answer. Now, I want to remind you that you can please go to Facebook if you don't mind. Type in the Cage with Cyclone and click like. You could be like Susan Walker and win a raffle. Head over to Twitter, CYCIE19. Go over to CycloneComedy.com. Then head over to BoneheadPicks.com and read everything I write. Now, I don't know the situation for next time, but there will be a show from somewhere, I don't know where officially yet, on December 26th, the day after Christmas. I don't know where I'll be, but I promise you there will be a show. And I also promise each and every one of you that in the new year, in 2018, there will be consistency. No more games being played. This show will be consistent and I will make you all proud. So until the 26th of December, I want to say to everybody, just because you're not an athlete doesn't mean you cannot be an athletic supporter.